All right,
What's
man.
up,
How you
man?
doing?
Good, good. Long day.
Yeah,
Yeah, today felt long, comparable to yesterday. I think maybe because I was staring at my stock more than I should have today.
it was a good day. Definitely in the first half. Definitely
Yeah,
was a good day.
yeah.
What did we actually end up at? Was it like 340, like low 340s?
No, it was 338, I believe. 338.50 or
Wow.
something.
It went down
Yeah.
that far.
Yeah. It went all the way to three. No, it went,
48.
yeah, it's 48, which was
Yeah.
cool. I think the fact that we broke out from 40, that's amazing in my
Yeah.
book. Every time that we break out though, I always know that there's gonna be a bunch of people who probably bought at a specific rate and they're like, I need to get out of this stock right
Yeah.
now.
They need to take the profits, close some options,
Yeah.
that's just the way it is, man.
Yeah, they were probably sweating.
Yeah, when I saw that spike of however much it was, like 5%, I just knew it was going to come back down. Like I just knew people were going to take profits, trim their position, take some risk off the table, and that's just how it is. Especially with Tesla, it's like you get that 5 to 10% bump sometimes, and then next couple days or even within the same day, you get cut in half.
Yeah,
So
for sure. And then also what not the last time, but the time before that, we were talking about Tesla being at 10:08, 10:10, or 3:10.
308, yeah,
Yeah, 3:08. So around that, and we were just like, whatever. And now it's coming up, and it's always interesting to watch everyone on X. As soon as we get any percentage bump, everyone's like, "We're hitting 1,000 tomorrow."
I know. Oh
And I'm
man,
like, what are you talking about, bro? Let's get to like 350 first. Go relax, relax. It's gonna be fine.
I agree, man. It's nice being in the stock for so long that you can already anticipate what's going to happen. Especially considering like we keep beating a dead horse here, but uh, the fundamentals aren't quite there yet for Robotaxi as far as the financials flowing in.
Yeah,
So right now it is just going to kind of get forced up or down just by whatever the narrative is on any given day, right?
yeah,
Uh, so until we actually start seeing, I think I said it last time. It's the Nvidia moment. It's the Nvidia moment where Nvidia, for the longest time, they were a gaming company, but then they started showing on their P&L that they are actually selling AR hardware, and all of a sudden it was to the moon.
yeah.
And
And I feel like, oh, sorry. I feel like when you think of that, I feel like we're still gonna have a steady up. Like we're still gonna go steadily up, but once the numbers hit the P&L, it's over. It's gonna exactly what you said. It's gonna skyrocket like Nvidia. But the I think the cool thing about Tesla is that we are going to steadily grow because more and more people are going to slowly realize. Unlike, I feel like Nvidia was such a shock to some people. I didn't think
yeah,
it was that much of a shocker. I was kind of annoyed that I didn't go and buy some like around that year, but I was so focused on Tesla around that time, and I was just putting in money on Tesla. So it is what it is. At the end of the day, that's one of those things where I know where my brain lies and like where my investment ideas go. So
yeah.
Nvidia is a cool stock, and I definitely missed the train on that one. But hey, you can't win them all.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have that same sentiment that hey, I could have piled in to Nvidia because you just saw the long runway, right? You
Yeah,
just saw hey, Nvidia, even though it spiked, 20, 30, 25% the day after they first reported meaningful earnings on the AI hardware they were selling. Like even if you were invested after that 25%, you'd still be sitting pretty today, right? So
yeah,
knowing that they have such a long runway, even with the DeepSeek opportunity, right? Of the dip that brought Nvidia down. I forget if it was like 30% or whatever it was. I think it was just that sentimental market shift where the folks that kept their eye on the prize of, hey, AI isn't going anywhere. Like anybody that wants anything to do, any relevance to do in this sector, they're gonna have to go to Nvidia.
yeah,
And so some folks doubled down on Nvidia after that DeepSeek scare, so to speak, thinking
yeah.
this is a great opportunity to just buy this dip, knowing that in a few months' time, in a few quarters' time, Nvidia is going to continue selling through everything it produces, right? So yeah. But hey, like you said, you win some, you lose some. I think the key is to kind of stay the course. Like if you're committed to a thesis with Tesla, then
Yeah.
it's hopefully, hope isn't a strategy, but you've done your homework. As long as they continue executing, as long as Elon is still there, they'll eventually kind of get to the promised land in a matter of quarters, if not a few years, right?
And
So yeah,
and
that's why.
I feel like I'm such a simpleton when it comes to that kind of stuff. I don't want to overthink things. I already have been doing so much research on this one company for 5 plus years. So in
Yeah,
my mind, it it's not we're not we're in a bundle stock of just all these different things. Even I believe they just did like a deal with Europe to provide electricity or something. I saw
yep,
a tweet of that today, I think, and that by itself is just they are in so many sectors. It's ridiculous, and I'm not. Nvidia's in one, which is an amazing sector, just
yeah,
AI generally, but
yeah.
real world AI is even bigger in my mind. So I feel like Tesla being in real world AI is so much wider scale than Nvidia just being in chips. But you need shovels and you need pickaxes, so Nvidia is that.
Yeah. Yeah, like we talked about last time, you need the picks and shovels to mine the gold, right? So
Yeah,
I think I think I agree with you. And for the longest time, most people have said that Tesla is sort of like a an index fund in itself, right? Like
yeah,
in the sense of you have so many different sectors in one company. You have transportation, you have energy, you have autonomy, you have literally AI, the actual AI, and now obviously we have Tesla Diner, so hopefully they can grow that over the long term. Uh, but yeah, it really is kind of like this just basket of different sectors that who better than to execute on that than Elon, right? So
yeah. It's just gonna be one of those things we're hitting three general areas, right? We're hitting power, cars, and labor, and those three things are gonna be they are the biggest sectors in the world generally.
100%.
There is if any of those three sectors get disrupted at any point in time, you know that something's going down. So
Yeah,
if if Tesla's in all three sectors, even if they hit just two sectors, we are golden. It's not it's that never investment advice, but it's a no-brainer. It's kind of difficult and thinking about that semi. So the idea of Tesla making so many semis, which is something that they talked about a lot today. I don't think it was the needle mover for the stock today, only because it's a story thing, and me and you've talked about it already. If it's not hitting the
you
the
know,
the P&L, then does it really matter? No. Do I think semi is going to be an amazing product? Yes. The idea of not of cheaper transport and then cheaper labor because of transport sounds amazing to me. It sucks for how many jobs are going to be but again, we're hitting the labor market and we're hitting energy and we're hitting movement, which is transport of goods. Like that, those three are literally being disrupted by semi.
yeah, I agree. I feel like we can do a whole like video just on how is AI going to displace workers, because there will be impact. It's just to what degree and what form does that impact take? Does it just
And
wipe out absolutely everything? Or is it like a slow, gradual impact where it's more of a white collar thing first? And even within white collar, is it more the junior level stuff first and then eventually it works its way up? And then, of course, over the next 5 to 10, 15 years, more blue collar work with robotics kind of taking over the handyman work that there isn't enough workers around to do. So, we can go down that pipeline. But the one thing I want to say on semi, I think that unlocks like massive deflation in the sense of, let's just say,
yep.
tomorrow you flip the switch and suddenly you have not only autonomous driving semi, but you also have an Optimus in it. The cost of sales to ship, to transport, to stock, like all that stuff plummets so much, so drastically
Go
that
fast.
that gets carried on to the consumer,
Hmm.
whether it's
A
shipping and
bag of
delivering.
chips or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Shipping and delivering food, electronics. The biggest, other than the actual like product itself and manufacturing it, I think the biggest, if not a significant part of the total cost of that product is the shipping, right? So is the
Hmm.
shipping and transportation from one region to another region. And so if we can get that down to where we're for the most part fueling up these semis with free energy from the sun, and same thing with Optimus. And obviously Optimus is super smart, so it can do anything and everything for the most part, learn on the fly. I just, it's, long story short, that's just like the definition of deflation. Just
Yes.
everything is going to plummet as far as costs go, and I think that what enables this age of abundance, this ability to kind of have what you need when you need it. Whatever the necessity is, it's within arm's reach. So that's how
The
I kind
return
of interpret it.
the Yeah, the return on investment on the semi, the robot is insane. Once you think about how fast, one, you're gonna pay that thing off, two, the amount of power that it takes to take to put into that vehicle, as in the maintenance on the semis are probably gonna be fairly low, just like cars are.
Yes.
And then also hopefully, right, they get the robot thing right, and that's why probably version 3 is coming out because of the idea of trying to make sure that it's probably lower maintenance.
Yep.
The amount of parts being replaced every so often, they're gonna be lower. It's new, so it's gonna be just like probably a car where their maintenance is a little higher at first, and then over time the iteration changes everything, and eventually it's like our Teslas where there'll be a few replacements every so often. I saw a tweet about a car hitting 2.5 kilometers. I'm sorry, I don't even know what that means. It was 2.5 million kilometers or something like that, which it
Oh yeah.
translates to, yeah,
But is that
which
like a million miles, I believe, or something like that? I
something
forgot.
like that. I don't even know. We're Americans, we don't know these things. So I was looking at it and they said something about replacing a motor every 150,000 miles, which is in my head, I don't know how much a motor is. I should have done more research on that when I saw the tweet, but I was too tired. They did three battery replacements, and then every 150,000 miles they did a motor replacement. So,
Oh,
oh
this is the guy with the Model S.
yes, they did
Yeah.
13 replacements. So it's like what 1.5 mil like miles
Yeah.
on that car, which is what car is hitting 1.5 million miles without it
Yeah.
being completely stripped of every part that it has inside? Which at that
That's
point
true.
you paid for the car maybe what 4 or 5 times,
Yeah. And
maybe.
I think this was back when Tesla's warranty was a lot more generous. So he took advantage of that. So he got more than his money's worth on that one. But
And
yeah, no, I agree. I think as far as
he
like the
probably
moving parts,
he probably
the
has
moving.
free charging forever. Like,
Oh, he does. Oh yeah.
yeah, so that was all free.
He's not incentivized to get rid of that car. He is milking it.
Hmm.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, that's how you do it. You get a car that an older that guy bought it a long time ago, and he's gotten his money's worth over and over and over again. And all he did was replace the battery, which is if he replaced it 3 times, he's paid $30,000 and nothing in gas.
Yeah. Yeah, I forget. Did he pay out of pocket for the battery replacements, or was part of it covered by the warranty?
I'm sure that two of the batteries were covered by the warranty because of how nice they were back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Man.
Yeah, it was like 250 or something, or what 300,000 miles that they would replace them at that time.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't remember, but that's insane. Like at least one of those batteries was replaced, so maybe he paid 20 out of pocket, maybe.
Yeah. I imagine he paid out of pocket for some of them.
Yeah, but that car already gave him his return, so
Yeah.
I would not mind. Once it gets to that point, I'm like, I'm cool. It's fine.
Right. Going back to semi
Yeah.
and displacing workers. I forget where I heard, but I had learned that hiring drivers is like really hard to do these days. And
Hmm.
it's not as if there's an abundance of drivers. And I think that this will enable those that are in charge of distribution and logistics and all that stuff. I think this will enable them to kind of have like an abundance, hopefully over the long term. I think it'll take a while to scale, but an abundance of just transportation um, of their goods. And so I think I think some guy that runs a fleet said that if I could hire like 20 drivers right now, I would. They just the problem is that there aren't any drivers willing to take the job. And so I think that if anything, it will enable more GDP than it would, displace workers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think there's two things to think about there. And one of them is those people get paid pretty decent money to
Right.
drive around. So that shows that the interest is so low that they're not even willing to go get paid for that job. Like the amount of people that could get paid a decent amount of money for just driving around don't even
Yep.
want to do it. So for that
Yeah.
person to feel like I want to hire at least 20, like if he was to advertise, "Hey, I'm paying this much money," even with the advertisement, I bet you he wouldn't get the 20,
Yeah.
which is wild to believe that people are just not willing to work for more money and all they have to do is drive around. The idea of people wanting to drive around is getting lower and lower.
Yeah. And I think it's just really also the appearance of the job and the sacrifice that it does take because some of these
Yeah,
guys are driving cross country, right? And so that's
yeah,
sacrificing time with their family. And then of course you're sitting for long periods of time. So I think that also kind of
destroys your body.
contributes to their overall health. And so they kind of see the risks of, yeah, even though I'm getting a pretty decent paycheck, maybe even pretty decent insurance, in the long term, I think I'm going to be paying the price, whether it's sacrificing time with my family or just sacrificing my body for it, right? So I think that that's why folks aren't really too ecstatic about a job like that. And I think that that applies for just so many jobs. And I think that that's why it's crucial that we continue building out the roadmap for autonomy and for robotics because especially with population decline over the next decade, we're gonna need it. We got an aging population that's gonna retire over the next 10 years. We got a younger generation, call it the millennials, of course, that are gonna be the bulk of the workforce. And then you got the younger generation that they're coming in, but then they're competing for a job versus AI, uh, and so it's crucial that right now all these technologies are converging and that we're really kind of pedal to the metal on developing and hopefully at a mass scale manufacturing these things soon,
Hmm.
and um, so it's almost out of necessity than it is just a nice to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, it is. I feel that a lot of people are I think we're in a world, we're getting to that world of abundance, and someone posted about saying that back in the day you can have a above minimum wage job and take care of a whole family and all these things. Well,
Yeah.
back then they didn't have Wi-Fi, they didn't have phones, they didn't have all the subscriptions we have, they didn't have food coming to your house. They cooked at home. Like there's
Yeah.
just so many little things that people just went without that we don't. That social media and life inflation with tied in with generations has just made it like, yeah, everyone has a cell phone. Why wouldn't you have a cell phone? There was one
Yeah.
house phone back in the day that everyone shared, but
Yeah.
now a household of five has a phone each, and each one of those phones is $500 plus. So
Right.
it's one of those things where it has stacked. We have stacked so many things that we need, right? And that has created a toll on someone trying to work a regular job and trying to provide for all those necessities that we have now created. And then with the world of abundance, the idea of it is going to be all those things are just going to get so much cheaper. It's going to be ridiculous how cheap things. My old teacher, the teacher I worked under for a long time, he used to crack jokes because he was an older gentleman, and he would always say, when bread is $20 a loaf, call me because I told you that inflation will do this to you.
Yeah.
And we would all just laugh. We would all just laugh. And at the time, I think it was super cheap, and so was gas. And then COVID hit, and all this stuff started going up, and we all just started looking at each other like, was he? Was he right? This is getting
Yep.
wild. Like, why are things getting so much more expensive? So
Yeah.
the idea of that and the deflationary outcome of semi and the robots is just ridiculous. How I do think that semi is going to be one of those slow burning things. And the reason I
Yeah.
feel that way is because they could easily, just like FSD, I'm sure it's going to be one of those lever switches, especially once we get to that point. But I don't think Elon Musk wants to have a almost like a right on his hands about all these people who have those jobs and are going to have a harder time having those jobs.
Yeah.
So I do think it's going to be a slow thing. Either way, semi's going to be a slow burn anyways, but I hope that no one's freaking out too much. And like you said, some people want to be home with their kids, so those
Yeah.
jobs are very tolling with time and body, the things that we probably should praise more and try to look after more than
Yeah.
we should, than most people do.
I agree. I think one of the things I'm concerned about, particularly, is that many people aren't aware of the tsunami that's coming, like the AI tsunami. And it could be, like you said, it could be like a slow burn where maybe it's like an initial 3 foot tsunami. And it didn't cause too much damage, maybe a little bit to the shoreline, but whatever. But
Hmm.
then that first wave is indicative of maybe larger waves. I don't even know if geologically if this is how it works or geographically, whatever. And then the next wave is 5 feet, and then the next wave is 10 feet. And so
Yeah.
I think that and it's really hard to put your finger on the pulse of what is going to happen. You can have all these assumptions, all these theories of what could potentially happen, and I think the best approach that you can do, as vague as it is you hope for the best, where you prepare for the worst. Like that's all
Yes.
really what you can do. And so folks like with the mindset of increasing their net worth by accumulating assets, I think those are the folks that are going to be in the long run okay. And I use the word okay loosely. Maybe some are going to be great, some are going to be maybe okay, who knows? But what I'm saying is those that own assets, i.e., equities or whatever it is, Bitcoin, whatever it is, those assets, those equities, they're going to benefit from the the boom that will come about because of AI. All these
Hmm.
tech companies, you're seeing it now. The Metas of the world, the Microsofts of the world, they're already laying off a ton of people, supposedly because of whatever restructuring or whatever. But it really is, I think AI is starting to take the most simple, the most mundane, straightforward task out of the
Yep.
hands of people. And
Hmm.
so I think that that's just going to continue to expand over the next several years of, hey, AI can already do 50% of, a white collar job or whatever, right? Simple
Exactly.
Excel stuff, whatever it is. And so I think those companies, the Microsofts, the Metas of the world, they're laying people off. They're profiting already. Their bottom line is going to reflect that in the coming quarters. And they're going to get a boost in productivity, a boost in output because of that AI. And so they're going to grow both their top line, their bottom line margin percents are going to be massive. And
Hmm.
so I think that financially speaking, these companies are inclined, incentivized, and obviously we know, and unfortunately, this kind of has a bad sort of connotation to it, but we know that companies are gonna cater to shareholders. They're gonna want to continue to grow their share price.
Hmm.
And what does that mean? It's at the cost of labor, like at the expense of good, hardworking folks.
Hmm.
And so I think that that's where you think about it. The only way that you can sort of help yourself is to have assets under your name that you own that are going to benefit from this wave or multiple waves that are going to come in because of automation, because of artificial intelligence, because everything will be replaceable.
Hmm.
by everyone will be replaceable by AI.
Yeah. Once when ChatGPT came out, I remember being on X and learning about ChatGPT. And I feel like I've been such a tech nerd for so long that every time that something came out, I already had it. I already knew about it like 4 months in advance or something. And I
Yeah,
was just playing with it, right? I was playing with it, and as soon as I saw that, I said, we're screwed.
yeah,
Like just the simple like write me a page about this, and I showed it to my family, and they go, "What's going on there?" And I said, "I haven't talked to anyone at work, and I work I work in the school system. So when I
mhm,
saw that, all I thought was, my students get their hands on this, it's over. Like English is they're not gonna think that hard about what they're writing, and that
yeah,
sucks, but it is what it is, right?"
right,
And I saw it, and then maybe a few months later, they started talking about it in the school, and I said, "Yeah, it's been a thing." And as soon as I saw it, I started moving my curriculum towards the idea of, because I teach graphic design and product development, but
okay,
I started going heavy on product development. I started going heavier on like, how do machines work? How do you get this product? How do you go from point A to point B in the product? Because the thing I thought next was, if it could do that to a writing form, I thought it could do it to art eventually. And what
yeah,
happened next? Maybe less than a year later, it started doing all kinds of artsy stuff. And at
yeah,
that point, I was just like, it's beautiful that it can do that. But at the same time, for a lot of graphic design jobs, a lot of jobs that, like you said, excel, like especially the mundane stuff. If I think there is a little bit of human work to be done in the design world still, but it is one of those things that as soon as I saw it, I just started changing gears. And I talked to my wife about it when it happened, and I talked to my wife yesterday about it, and I said, it's a scary thought to think that AI is going to take over so many jobs, and I could see my job eventually being obsolete, whether that be teaching or just the graphic design part, but we have to adapt to whatever comes next as much as possible and hold out as long as possible for that. Because a lot of jobs are going to go extinct, like you said. A lot of people are going to be losing their jobs, not because they're not capable of doing it, but the machine is cheaper to do it. Like the brain that is behind that is just it's it's no hard feelings. It's just business.
yeah, yeah. And like I said, I think that there are 69,000 different ways that this could kind of roll out and play out over the next 5 to 10 years. But you kind of, it's kind of weird to think that one of the saving graces almost, it's kind of kind of weird to think about it, but one of the saving graces could potentially be because of this massive boost in productivity and deflation kind of ensuing at a massive scale thereafter, the way for you to maintain like a steady sort of uh
Income
what's that?
or livelihood income.
More so the dollar, like a steady currency is
Hmm.
to to have that supposed 2% growth in inflation is to print more money. And so how do you
Yep.
print more money? You start sending out those stimulus checks, right? And so that's the thing that I'm starting to wonder is in the short to medium term ish, like call it the next 5 ish years, if we do see just AI really get its foothold on society and we start seeing deflation to the point where it's scary, you don't want deflation really. Like you want a steady sort of currency. Then does the Fed kind of think, well, we're at like -5% inflation. We should start just printing out money, sending out those stimulus checks so that people can
But
continue paying their
spend,
mortgages because the
spend.
mortgage is still going to be there. Your car
Yeah.
payment's still going to be there. It's not like those those are monthly payments are suddenly going to go to a fraction of what
Zero.
they are, right?
Hmm.
And so they're still going to be there. People are going to lose their jobs, but you still want the economy to run. You don't want, you default in mortgages or car payments here left and right. So you kind of want everything to keep going. So you just kind of print your way out of it, essentially,
Yeah.
in the short to medium term. I think over the long term, like I said, assets are going to be what enable people to kind of sustain that living. But unfortunately, at least half of the population in the U.S., I think, doesn't own equities, doesn't own assets.
Hmm.
It's all debt. It's all
Hmm.
debt. And
Hmm.
so I think that for those folks, definitely, I think getting those stimulus checks are going to enable them to continue just making those monthly payments or just, stay afloat. So it's a
That's such an interesting thing too, because I remember thinking when when I would tell these when I would tell people my thought process behind Tesla, they would go, "What happens to all the jobs? What happens to everything?" And I would tell them, especially when they were more on the on the progressive side, when they were thinking like, "Oh, like those cars are not the Elon bad, certain things are bad, like the we don't like electric cars, we like gas cars."
mhm.
It was such a mesh of people thinking they like gas cars, but they also hate Elon at the same time. And I
Yeah,
was just like, that's a tough one because at the end of the day, don't you didn't you want like Bernie to win? And Bernie is basically saying you would get free money and Tesla would create a snowball effect of free money. And you
hmm,
want this thing called universal basic income, but
right.
Tesla would kind of be the trigger of some of that. Isn't that a good thing? And that would be my like almost like my counterpoint to some of those people saying like they didn't like the idea of the electric cars driving themselves, they didn't like the robot thing, and I said, well, you want universal basic income, and this is how we get there. We can't just
Yeah,
ask for something and it just be plopped in our on our laps. It's not that simple.
right.
So steps need to be made for that to happen. And if those steps just so happen to be this evil guy supposedly, then you might just benefit because your life is going to be simpler. Like you anything you want will just be a phone call, like a text or a app away. Like
Yeah,
you're going to have everything handed to you, which is sounds so ridiculous at some point because what ha what happens to the hard workers? What happens to the mediocre workers and what happens to the lazy workers? Like we're all the
yeah,
same at that point, and it doesn't matter how like we went about it, other than the fact that some of us will live in a higher end abundance because of the assets we would hold,
yeah.
and then everyone else will just have a decently good living. Like you'll complain about how nice it is
Right, right.
because everything will be just given to you. Yeah, everything. Like you're talking about, we are lucky to live in a world where air conditioning exists. We're
Exactly.
lucky we are so lucky that like my fridge is full of food and I don't
Yeah,
know what to eat. Like that is luck. And later it's going to be even more of that without
yep,
having to pay and work as hard.
yep. Agree.
And again, these are just thoughts, right? Like maybe we're wrong. Maybe it doesn't work out. But
Yeah,
in the direction that it's been going, I don't see it stopping, and I don't see it. uh, uh, I I thought that the Tesla stock going up today was because of the idea of people kind of seeing it more and more, and investors seeing that FSD is now available all over, like without restrictions in Texas, as in you don't
yeah,
need the driver. If that's the case now, so that by itself is going to be amazing for Texas. Like I don't see why Texas wouldn't be completely filled with FSD in by the end of the year if they wanted to.
yeah. You bring up an interesting point actually, because I feel like I haven't thought of this before, but now that the whole state of Texas is allowing driverless vehicles to be robotaxis, I imagine this is the beginning of a potential case study where Uber is going to really start feeling the heat.
Have you
If you
seen
have,
the screenshots?
I haven't seen the screenshots. No,
The screenshots show Lyft at $10, then it's like uh Waymo at $20, Uber at like $9, and then Tesla at $3.
crazy.
So that's just one. I took a bunch of screenshots, but basically every single scenario, Uber is like 10 times what 10 times plus what Tesla is, and then Lyft is only 3 times more than Tesla,
Yeah,
only, which is crazy. and then Uber is 5 times or 4 times more than what Tesla is, which that by itself is insane. That by itself, thinking that Tesla is a third of the price of the cheapest driving network, that that's tough. Not just
Yeah.
Uber, Lyft is screwed. Waymo is definitely done. Like I know some people have hope for Waymo, but it's kind of hard to sell the idea of like luxury driving when the car is this nice and the settings are preset for you. You walk into the car, the temp is done, the
Your
radio's
music.
going off, your music is going at whatever. You don't have to deal with somebody being either smelly or annoying or wanting to have a conversation because they're bored out of their mind driving around. Like just so many things that you would deal with, you don't have to deal with Tesla. And it is all on your phone quickly and accessible.
And going back to those $3, I think you said it was $3 for Tesla. I think that
Yeah.
includes the safety monitor. So
Currently,
take out the safety monitor, and what does it go down 50%? So now you're at like a buck 50, right? It's got to
yes,
be something
for the same ride.
for the same ride. That's what's crazy. It's like the writing is on the wall. It's just a matter of flooding the market.
That's what I
And
think changed the stock, to be honest. It's how many screenshots are out there of people comparing the same ride at different prices.
you don't think it was Elon posting this weekend uh about
I think I think that's a Texas thing, and I think it's the screenshots. I think that more people are seeing I feel like there's just so much stuff going on right now
yeah,
that it's kind
so
of hard
much.
to pinpoint it to one thing. But in my mind, when I saw the screenshots, I don't see why anyone would have a hard time seeing that Tesla's going to grow.
No, I definitely agree with that. I think it's more so because I think the street knows Tesla's going to grow. The question they have is when and how fast. And my thinking is that Elon posting, "Hey, next month we're going to open this basically to the public." I
Yes.
think that was kind of what maybe didn't break the dam, but at least kind of started showing a big crack in the dam of, oh shoot, Tesla's actually going to start releasing this to like not just beta testers is what they're calling it, right?
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
actually going to release this to the public. Who knows how it's going to roll out? But let's get ahead of it. So let's actually start piloting it. And then you
Yeah.
saw kind of the stock waiver after that. But so yeah, I thought that was it. That Elon said, hey, we're going to have a shit ton more customers able to kind of hop on a ride next month.
Yeah, and then also the 100 cars being in California or Texas or whatever.
Yeah,
That's wild too. And that makes sense for the 100 cars to also line up around the same time that it's going to be allowed in, for the public.
yeah.
I It's possible that the safety driver specifically in Texas will leave in less than 2 months, which is sounds ridiculous, but I don't see why it wouldn't, especially with the whole releasing it to the public, because otherwise they'd be waiting so long.
Got a question for you. Do you think
Yeah.
that V14 is in the Robotaxi right now?
Yeah, for sure.
You do?
No, I think I thought he said something about the one inside the Robotaxi is 6 months ahead or something like that.
But
Did
that's what
I?
I'm saying is like, does that mean it is V14 in the Robotaxi right now?
Yes.
Because it, you know, it's only been a month and a half or whatever since Robotaxi launched. Elon is saying we're going to get V14, or at least hardware 4 is going to be 14 at the end of September. And so that must mean that the current version in the Robotaxi is V14, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, that
And
makes
so
perfect sense.
and so now I'm wondering, okay, well, what is the version that enables one no driver? I think you got to accumulate however many miles in California to
Yeah.
actually have no driver. So it's really just them checking off a regulatory box than it is, Tesla feeling confident. But uh, what version will like fully allow Tesla to just flood the market, especially in Texas now, like flood the market with 50,000 robo taxis and just no driver, no safety monitor, and bombs away, right? Is it this
Yeah.
current version, the V14, that us normal consumers are going to get next month, or is it is it maybe towards the end of the year that there's like a V14.5 or even a V15 early next year. And
Hmm.
that's the version that just allows Tesla to say, you know what? Half of our production goes to Robotaxi, half of our production goes to people that want to buy our cars.
Yeah.
You
I,
know?
I think I think another good question would be, when do they, and every location that they start letting out FSD, when do they just stop doing the drivers? Because they had them to be hired in every general location like Florida, New York, and blah blah blah, right? They had them in
Yeah.
a few locations. We talked about this last time. But when does it get so good that they're like, you know what? The only reason we're getting drivers is for the regulation's sake. Other than that, we don't even need them.
Yeah.
Because the version gets that good, like, why do you need somebody to test it out for you if it's tested in California? California seems like one of the most annoying places to drive, other than New
Yeah.
York, probably. And then you're talking about highly dense cities after that. That's a tough one. Like Chicago would be probably difficult to drive around to, right? But the map that big in San Francisco, like, you go driving in San Francisco is crazy. Like, I the few times that I've been there, it was wild, and I was just like, this sucks for sure.
Yeah.
And I would hate it if I didn't have FSD, which
Oh yeah.
at the time it wasn't the best version, and it was driving just fine,
Yeah.
comparable to what I probably would have been doing.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, especially like when I went to the Tesla diner the other day and driving through LA is the worst. It is the worst. Even with FSD, I was getting fed up. I'm just like sitting in traffic. We're slowly moving. And even though I was grateful that I didn't have to manually drive, it's still a pain in the butt, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
one exit to another is like 30 minutes sometimes.
yeah, it's the worst.
Yeah,
But going back to the version, because like for example, you were mentioning why not do it already? I mean, we've seen a few videos of some incidents where the safety monitor has had to get involved, right?
yeah,
The first and I think most famous one is where Dave Lee was in the car and a UPS, and mind you, the UPS driver was super wrong to do this. But these are the kind of edge cases that you have to like consider, you know, literally you have to consider an alien spaceship parking in front of you. And so the UPS driver was kind of backing up into a very tight spot that it was not going to be able to fit into. And the car, I felt like even if he didn't intervene, the car would have stopped. Like, what the heck is going on? It probably even would have reversed on itself. But maybe it was just the driver kind of being extra precautious and just, you know, turning off the or parking the car right then and there or something.
which is good in my mind.
Yeah.
Like, right now we should take as much caution as possible.
Yes.
And like you said, there has been incidents, and I'm just wondering, when does that stop? When do people fall asleep? Like,
Yeah.
that's my question. And then once that happens, once they start rolling out to other cities, will they have to explain to the city like, hey, this is how good it is, and these will have drivers in it for this long, and blah blah
Yeah.
blah. Like, how long will it take for everyone to how long will it take for everyone to trust the system? It's almost like the people that found out about online banking and they were like, nah, I'd rather just keep my money in my under my
Yeah.
bed for
Yeah.
however long, and I'll just go and pay it physically. I'll go to those places and pay for it. And then everyone's just looking at them like, why would you do that? That sounds like a lot of like that sounds like a waste of time, which
Yeah.
is it in my train of thought again. When do we start looking at it and being like, that the car drives way better than everyone else? That's a waste of time. Why would we waste our time trying to follow these regulations that the cars have? And exactly what you said, half the fleet would be FSD. Would How long does it take for Tesla to start having drivers in half a fleet? Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna feed 500,000 cars of people just sitting there, or a full million of people just sitting there in the car, and like throughout the US. That doesn't sound like regardless, we get our clearly it shows that it's still cheaper. $3, we get our money back, blah blah blah. But when that's my thought. Like, when does that stop?
Yeah. I think it's going to be a generational thing. I think that Gen Z is going to kind of lead the charge Gen Z already doesn't want to drive. They're already kind of spending a ton of money on Ubers and Lyfts and everything.
Yep.
So I think that they're going to lead the charge on just heavily relying on robotaxis everywhere and anywhere they go, to school, to work, to their friend's house, and then eventually them, you know, kind of speaking to their parents and word of mouth, so to speak. Their parents are gonna see that Gen Z is safely getting to and from everywhere in a robotaxi, and so
And a
maybe
third of the price.
a third of the price, no insurance, no monthly payment. And so maybe at that point, parents and grandparents are gonna, maybe not grandparents, but definitely parents, they're gonna think, oh well, my kid is safe. They're not in a car with like a creepy guy, and let me check this thing out, just see what it is. It seems like they've been doing it for months or years now, and they've never complained about the service. They've never gotten hurt. Like nothing's ever happened. I don't want them to do it, but maybe I'll check this thing out for myself just to see what it's actually like. And then at that
Yeah.
point, maybe you start getting the older generations, the millennials and the older folks, the boomers, to kind of say, "Oh, well, this isn't too bad." I don't know about boomers. Maybe they'll still be skeptical, but definitely millennials. I think you want
Yeah, yeah.
millennials to get in there. They're the working class right now. So
And I think the economy will grow so fast around that point in time because so many people instead of spending so much money and time on a vehicle, they would
yeah,
be using that on goods and services, and that would just make everything just beautiful.
yeah,
People are gonna love the fact that they're gonna save so much money on not having to spend on a vehicle
yeah.
and everything that goes with the vehicle, like all of it.
I agree. I think about that even with our cars. Just
Yeah,
for example, like I would love to just be able to just buy like that new Model Y that's going to come out, the six seater, the Model YL. Like that would
yeah,
be sick to have. But then I
yeah,
think about car registration here in California. Just obviously the insurance is ridiculous here as well. And so you think of all these added costs, and then of course you still have to set aside time every 6,000 miles, for example, to get your tires rotated and aligned, and then stuff like that, right? Thankfully, it's a lot less maintenance than a gas car,
yeah,
but you still have to kind of take that into consideration of like the total cost. Whereas if you're just taking a robotaxi, it's like a tenth of the price, over the course of a year or whatever it is, right? Like if you're
yep,
spending on rotations, and all that stuff, and insurance, and obviously your monthly payment, like all that stuff, it's just a fraction of the price over the course of a year. And so I think about, hey, maybe this, the cars we have now, at least this car, might be the last like car I need to buy for potentially ever, but definitely for a very long time. Because
yeah,
by the time this car turns like 200,000 miles, I feel like at that point, robo taxis are just going to be a dime a dozen everywhere.
yep,
Right now I'm at 35,000 miles.
yep,
And I imagine another decade that I'll have this car. At that point, for sure, you got Texas. You have robo taxis flooded everywhere,
yeah,
right? And if
yeah,
I want to go to and from a place, whether it's to a game, whether it's to work, whether it's to a party, I just want to be taken to and fro, be able to consume whatever I want without having to worry about getting how I'm going to get home.
yeah, yep. And then
And
also exactly what you said. Mine's both my cars are at 60 and 70
yeah,
miles, and I'm by the time they get by the time they hit 100, I believe that it's gonna be fairly.
yeah.
It's gonna be everywhere. FSD is gonna be everywhere. That's like what, a year from now, 2 years from now of driving.
No, I mean, depending on how much you drive, like you're saying
Yeah,
another 40,000 miles, right?
yeah,
And let's just say 10,000 miles roughly, you're looking at another 3 to 4 years
mhm,
of your car before you get to 100,000. By
yeah.
then, for sure, we're going to have
If
lots of robo taxis.
if half the U.S. population, if let's say we go Elon time, but like a quarter of what he's saying, if a
Yeah.
quarter of the U.S. population is will be able to get in a FSD car
Yeah.
by the end of the year, we're talking what, a crazy, probably, again, he's saying baby steps and then to the moon. So
Yeah.
that's going to be insane once we get to half the population.
Oh, okay. You're saying a quarter of the population. So like 75-ish million
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, because I'm not so Elon's saying half. I'm saying okay, a quarter of what Elon is saying.
Yeah.
Let's say half of what he's saying, and that's a quarter of the U.S. population. what's the difference between that and then like maybe next year it being basically the whole population
Yeah.
possibly being able to get their hands on just one ride? And then you said the young kids, they're gonna be in it. Teenagers are definitely gonna be in it. They're not gonna want to. They're not gonna hassle their parents to wanting to give them a ride anywhere. They're just gonna be like, I'm gonna go to the beach. And they're
Yeah.
gonna go, what do you mean you're going to the beach? Well, the car says that it's only gonna cost me like $3, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna go to the beach. Like
My
I'm gonna go
allowance
to
can
the
afford
beach.
it.
Yeah, like my allowance can give me the ability to go to the beach with
Yeah.
all my friends. Like all my homies, they all have we're all pitching in to for the Robotaxi, 4-seater, 5-seater, and it's only let's say $10. Let's say
Yeah.
$10, $20, whatever, and we all pitched in, and now we're all eating pizza and by the beach. Like that
That's
sounds
really
like
cool.
that sounds easy, and that sounds so simple. Again, I'm so happy that this technology didn't exist when I was a kid because I'd be traveling. Like I'd be
Yeah. Who knows
I'd
where
be
you'd be?
gone. Yeah, I'd be
Yeah.
gone, and my parents would be mad. But the truth is that that's the future that we're going into. Like
Yeah.
those kids will be able to just do whatever they wanted for until there's like probably some regulation to it. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I'll finish with this. Like my thought is we need to scale. Like obviously we have the ability to scale. Tesla has the ability to scale. I think the
yeah,
technology's there. I think it's probably going to take a couple more major releases of FSD. Maybe V15 is like is the sweet spot because
yeah.
I think V14 is probably still going to have some limitations,
Hiccups, yeah,
but I think V15 is going to be the close to flawless one. And then two, I think we just need more cars out there. Obviously, right now, as far as I know, to my knowledge, we only have like 12-ish cars in Texas still, and I don't
yep.
even know, definitely less than 20 it looks like in the Bay Area. And
I was
so
hoping for a lot more.
yeah, and it looks like they are hiring for monitors and drivers. So hopefully, people will apply and we can kind of start the ramp soon. Because I wonder how much of that, how much of Elon saying that next month we're gonna open it wide, how much of that is contingent on how many people they hire here. Because you don't really need to do too much training, right? It's just whatever buttons they need to push on the screen if something were to happen. But for the most part, just monitor the situation, especially in Cali. In Cali, it's like if you're gonna have a safety driver already in the driver's seat, okay, just take over in case something happens. Like just drive safely, right? Right? It's so easy. Like you don't
Yeah,
need too much training on that. And so I imagine that Elon stating that, I mean, he even mentioned it right already. The 100 plus cars. Hopefully next month they'll open it to the public, and then it's just a matter of hiring people that can sit in your driver's seat and then just take over if they need to. But for the most part, they're just getting paid to sit there because the technology is so good, you know.
yeah,
So I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at like, hey, as long as we can scale actual physical cars that people can hail and take a trip from point A to point B at a fraction of whatever Uber is charging, like that's what we need. That's what we need to move the needle.
yep, yep. And
So,
it'll reflect on the stock. I feel by the end of the year. I feel like the numbers that people are yelling out, they might be lower than what we're thinking because it might reflect.
yeah,
And depending on what happens in the next couple months, that's what's gonna show, hey, this is the growth wave that you're seeing.
yeah,
Few cities, whatever that might be, and then how many Teslas are on the road, especially if you're saying 100. 100, that's a decent number of Teslas out on the road
yeah.
that are just
I really,
driving themselves.
I really hope that's the case, man.
Me too.
But like, hey, but like we've said already, if even if they're slow and steady, like for us, that's accumulation mode, right? Like, hey,
Yeah.
take your time. Most of us are continuing to accumulate. Of course, not financial advice, but that's just kind of our strategy.
Yep.
And I think that 5, 10 years from now, we'll
It
be
won't
thanking
matter.
ourselves.
It won't matter. These numbers won't
So
matter.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Not financial advice.
of course, always cool, man. Well, that was a good one. I'm glad we were
Yeah.
able to kind of catch up and thanks for filling me in on what happened since I was kind of MIA, kind of busy
No, you're
working.
good. Hey, we're both gonna have a tougher time soon.
Yeah.
But I usually do like 30 minutes every day. Like I was telling my dad, I said I do about 3 hours of investigating on Tesla every day. And he goes,
Nice.
that sounds like a lot. And I said, yeah, well, I listen to an hour of whatever in the morning and then an
Yep.
hour before bed. And then I'll scroll on X and like try to research some stuff there. And it's like, I
Yeah.
feel like my whole day is really that's like me downplaying it, saying that's only 3 hours, but truly it's way more than that. I'm ridiculously absorbed by this company right now.
Oh, and it always feels like it's not in there isn't enough content out there, at least for me.
Facts,
I feel
facts,
like
facts.
always listening to different points of view from different folks on Tesla and anything Elon is helpful for me to kind of really kind of try to refine how I perceive Tesla, right? Because it's very easy to just kind of be swayed by mainstream media and like, oh, Elon is this, Elon is that, but really, it's the true and and kind of it's the true folks on X and on YouTube that follow the company in depth, detail by detail. Obviously, nobody has really insider information for the most part. Even if they did, they shouldn't be sharing that publicly. But and so
Yeah,
I feel like that's the case, and it never really feels like you're consuming that much content, even though you might be listening to it, before work, during work, after work. It just never seems like enough. So
yeah.
that's how I think about it.
Especially for us who have like triple down, quadruple down.
Yeah.
Like it's like we can't get enough of this stuff if we're that heavily invested in something that we love this much.
Yep.
It's tough.
Yep. That's how you know we're in a good spot. We
Yeah,
can't get enough information.
yeah, yeah. I'm very happy
So
with this. I'm cool.
cool,
All
man.
right, man.
Hey, good chatting with you.
Good talk, man. This was fun.
Yeah, we'll see what happens this week. It seems like it's going to be a solid week, and then I think you said CPI tomorrow, so we'll see how that impacts the
Yeah.
market.
If it doesn't go down, that's gonna be very interesting.
It's going to be a good signal if it doesn't go down.
Yeah. Yeah. If it doesn't go down, I'm gonna be really hyped.
Yeah,
Later.
yeah. Cool, man. Have a good night. See ya.
See you, man. Have a good night.